Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment, where we love pop culture. Today, it's time for some more comic book reviews as I continue on with my series I call First Impressions, where I look at this week's issue #1 comic books, or at least the ones I was interested in, give them a read, and see if they're worth continuing on with. Now, this week was a slow week as there was only 2 comics I was interested in checking out for first impressions. But you know what? They say that quality is better than quantity, and it definitely sticks this week. Now let's get on with my first review as we look at one from IDW Publishing, and that's going to be G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures, issue #1. From the very first panel, the artwork by Dan Schoening and color by Luis Antonio Delgado instantly transported me back to the days of eating cereal and watching the G.I. Joe cartoon as a youngster. Now, in what's set to be a 4-issue series, a story by Erik Burnham sees Cobra Commander getting his hands on a Genie bottle. Now, while Cobra Commander might have to scale back on the size of his wish, it won't stop him from giving the Joes a run for their money by sending modified bats their way. But in round 1, the battle of good will triumph. Now, while Cobra Commander still has 2 wishes left, he's going to be able to put them on the back burner for the time being, as he's come up with a way to tweak his bats and unleash them as mega bats that will have the Joes scrambling to figure out a way to protect Paris, Tokyo, and Washington, D.C., because I don't think they're going to give in to the $1 billion ransom that Cobra Commander is demanding. Now, at the end of this issue, they also include one of those classic G.I. Joe PSAs, and not only do I like the fact that they also included one, but it's also very timely for what's going on in the world today. Now, my final score for issue #1 of G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures is going to be a 9 out of 10. The creators in issue #1 did everything right. The story flows smoothly as we see Cobra Commander set out a plan, be foiled to not only come back with a bigger and more sinister plot. Now, as far as the artwork goes, it's as close to the cartoon as I think you can get with actually playing it out on your TV screen, which works perfectly for a series that is meant to take us back to the 80s. Next up, from Behemoth Comics, we have Heavy Metal Drummer, issue #1. There's an old saying of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and the creators of Heavy Metal Drummer definitely have to be fans of all the above. The story takes place in Los Angeles in 1986, where we meet a local rock band, but let's just say that the drummer, Dave, might be on his last leg as their drummer, as some of the band members are over his constant screw-ups. Now, this story isn't going to be all rock and roll, because from somewhere in the universe, invaders have made their way to Earth, and they are not only aggressive in getting their way, but can also take their victims on a very hallucinogenic, funky ride for extra convincing. Now, we're going to see these alien invaders seamlessly blend into society, and from what it looks like, they're starting to build towards some type of takeover. Now, as far as Dave goes, he's going to continue to make some of his band members so angry that this band might be on the verge of splitting up. But after Dave looks like he hits the jackpot after coming across a stash that this junkie couldn't handle after indulging in it himself, it appears he might be ditching the name Dave and taking on the name and persona of the Invader. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give issue #1 of Heavy Metal Drummer an 8.5 out of 10. Issue #1 is weird, it's out there, and while it might not be everyone's cup of tea, it was mine. Now, in addition to this being a fun read, the price point for the digital version on Comixology this week was only $1.99. So if you're looking for something a little out there, give Heavy Metal Drummer a shot. Alright guys, well, that's going to wrap up this week's First Impressions video. Now, out of the 2 comics I read, did you read either one of them? And if you did, what are your thoughts? Comment down below. Now, while we only had 2 comics, it definitely was quality over quantity, as I really enjoyed both stories, even though they were both very different. We had some great nostalgia with G.I. Joe and some psychedelic heavy metal fun with Heavy Metal Drummer. Now, both of these series definitely made a good enough of a first impression that I want to continue on with and maybe do a series review when they both wrap up. Alright guys, if you like comic book reviews like this and all things pop culture, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.